What Donald Trump said during his Fox News interview yesterday is going unnoticed, but I think that this is absolutely groundbreaking. Is this related to what Senator Cynthia Lummis proposed in a bill that would force the U.S. government to buy 1 million Bitcoin, equating to $60 trillion? We'll break down this and more, but first, let's check out this clip from Fox News.
Who knows? Maybe we'll pay off our $35 trillion, hand him a little crypto check, right? We'll hand him a little Bitcoin and wipe out our $35 trillion.
But how do you?
That's the clip.
What do you think there, Luke? I mean, are you serious? In this mainstream media clip, Donald Trump talking about it, I feel like it was a little tongue-in-cheek, but there's a little truth in every joke. I mean, you got to think that he's at least considering that this is a possibility at this point, right? He went to the Bitcoin conference in Nashville. We had Trump, we had RFK, and Senator Cynthia Lummis all talk about putting Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset for the United States of America, the country with the global reserve or the global currency right now with the US dollar. Can you actually believe we're here right now, Luke, where we got Donald Trump talking about all this stuff on Fox News?
If you had told me 4 years ago that in 2024 we got Donald Trump not only endorsing Bitcoin once at the Bitcoin conference, but continually endorsing Bitcoin on the mainstream media, talking about creating a Bitcoin stockpile. And if you had told me we've got RFK, telling the US citizens he's going to buy 4 million Bitcoin. We've got literally today, hours ago, Cynthia Lummis has got her bill pushed forwards where she's actually saying, look, I want to buy 1 million Bitcoin for the US. She's proposed a bill for that today, proving that, she wasn't just talking her book or, talking smack at the Bitcoin conference. She's actually following through with it. If you had told me all of this happened in 2024 and we're only at $60,000 a Bitcoin, I wouldn't believe you. I really think price is a lagging indicator here.
100%. And I absolutely agree with you. But I think the biggest thing here is that everybody's noticing the amount of debt that the U.S. is getting into. I mean, we got this U.S. debt clock here, and don't look at it too close because you might get sick watching all these numbers just skyrocket up, right? I mean, we mentioned $35 trillion worth of debt. It's absolutely insane. So what do we have to actually pay off this debt? We keep getting in more and more debt by the second. You see this debt clock up here just keep going up and up and up and up constantly. And there seems like there's no end in sight. So even though Donald Trump almost seemed like he was saying that a little tongue in cheek, I believe that he actually thinks that this could be a real possibility here. And he wouldn't be talking about putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet if he didn't. And he's a very smart businessman. At the end of the day, Donald Trump is a businessman first. So what is he thinking? He's thinking, okay, how could I make sure that the cash flow, quote unquote, of the U.S. government is in a positive rate? And, what would be the smartest thing to do? Trump also met with 13 Bitcoiners at the Bitcoin Nashville conference before he went on stage. And I don't think that's being talked about enough. He talked with the likes of Gary Cardone, with Michael Saylor, and he also talked with RFK and many others. I believe Kathy Wood as well, who is there. So, I mean, all these great Bitcoin minds all getting in Donald Trump's ear to see where this thing is going forward. I mean, how can you not be bullish? I mean, I'll have to put this thing back up here, Luke, as so you get a little dizzy looking at these debt numbers. But it's absolutely insane the amount of debt we're putting on the balance sheet every single day, and it's just continuing to rise.
Well, let's make the people really dizzy, Brandon. I've got another image for you to really get the head spinning of the viewers and the audience today, because I want to put this number of $35 trillion of debt into a little bit more perspective, because there are some Keynesians out there who think we can pay back the debt, who believe our governments and the modern monetary theorists when they say the debt doesn't matter. But I really like this image. If you made $500,000 every single day since the Great Pyramids were built, you'd still have less than what the US government has borrowed since July. That's only literally a month ago, okay? And that, again, think about, I ran the numbers. I verified this a little while ago. The pyramids were built over 2,000 to 3,000 years ago. Some people will say it's, 10,000 years ago, and it was built by some, advanced civilization, which, I'm privy to that argument and that potential theory, so to say. But it doesn't matter how you cut this cookie. There is absolutely no repaying the debt. Like, just imagine being given $500,000 every single day for over 2,000 years. You still couldn't pay back the US debt. It's wild.
It's absolutely insane. And with all that, we're continuing to add more and more. We've added $100 billion worth of debt in the last 2 days alone. I mean, look at this. It's absolutely insane. National debt is just skyrocketing. I mean, at this point, it's not a taxation or how much money that the US government can bring in. The government has a spending problem, and it's not going to stop. Once we've opened up that floodgates, it's going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And so at this point, the likes of Senator Cynthia Lummis and Donald Trump are seeing these numbers, and they're scratching their heads. They're getting sick. They're getting nauseous. They want to puke just looking at these things. So how are they going to get out? Well, it seems like their answer is Bitcoin. And that's got me bullish on the way forward for not only for Bitcoin, but for the United States as well. I mean, if we've got, I keep talking about, everybody knows that meme, right? Of the national powers, or the powers of the entire globe, where it goes up and comes back down. Well, the US is always being shown as slightly declining here. Well, if we put Bitcoin in the balance sheet, who knows? Maybe the rise of the US is continuing to go up for a little bit. And, although governments and everything like that are run by people, eventually it's gonna fall and something's gonna happen, but maybe it'll delay it a little bit and give us more time to get to that bright orange future where it's a true Bitcoinized world. So I think that, this is just bullish for everybody involved, and it'll just help humanity in the end as well. And so I think it's interesting because we've seen Trump kind of, do this little transition into the Bitcoin space. Maybe he's starting to do research maybe 3 or 4 months ago. I know last time around he got NFTs. We even got this here. He's got some of these Trump Bitcoin related sneakers where he's pumping these out. So I think Trump's jumping on the Bitcoin bandwagon and sees it really as the way out to help the US government going forward and help the United States as a whole.
Yeah, I certainly think the Bitcoin sneakers is a smarter move than the NFT shilling. Maybe Trump is, wising up to the Bitcoin crowd in particular. I still don't like how many times he said crypto the other day in his Bitcoin conference speech, but the fact that he continues to double down and be incredibly bullish on Bitcoin is certainly something we need to be paying attention to, because I seriously do think that the price is a massive lagging indicator right now. I think, like you said, Brandon, I agree with you. I think that Bitcoin is going to help America prolong its global reserve currency status for much longer than most people think. Everybody thinks, because they listen to Ray Dalio, that China is the next, rising global superpower. I just don't think that's true. I just think Bitcoin's incompatible with China right now. And I think Bitcoin's far more compatible with the ideals of America, what built America 250 years ago, the Declaration of Independence. Bitcoin is freedom money. America is freedom country. Despite how much it is becoming under attack right now, and I do think that those attacks will continue to increase. Again, I'm defining attacks very loosely here, but I do think that there are people inside the US government trying to destroy the US government and the idea of freedom. But again, that's probably another rabbit hole for another day. The fact that we have Trump, actually trying to fight for America and welcome Bitcoin, it's a really interesting thing. Like that slogan, "Make America Great Again," that's a beautiful thing. And I think that's something that Bitcoin can certainly help with.
100%. And, it's not only just Trump, right? It's Cynthia Lummis. She's been backing Bitcoin for quite some time. She's almost been the Bitcoin senator, so to speak. So it actually, proposed this bill that I mentioned a little bit earlier to have the U.S. buy over 1 million worth of Bitcoin, which is over $60 trillion worth. So she is like, hey, U.S., time to put your money where your mouth is. We've mentioned it a couple times too in some of the podcasts, where the U.S. has the ability and is the only country that has the ability to potentially print dollars to buy Bitcoin. And at this point, that could potentially help them pay off all their national debt. So it'll be an interesting little dichotomy that we see here going forward if this comes true, and if the U.S. government decides to start printing money to buy Bitcoin to get it as a strategic reserve asset. And I think Cynthia Lummis just proposing all these bills and really shifting the tide of governments and the way that they view Bitcoin is not really being talked about enough outside the Bitcoin space. I don't think really anybody knows about her outside the Bitcoin space. So I think, that's going to keep helping her. And, she keeps proposing these great things, and you can follow that along here at the congress.gov and go and check that out because, giving all the support that you can to help out these congressmen and women to push these bills that will be very positive for the country and for Bitcoin as a whole, I think is extremely important. And I think we're going to continue to see more of that. But Luke, what do you think about this proposal of a bill to have the US buy 1 million Bitcoin?
Yeah, I mean, quick math. That's like $60 billion worth of Bitcoin. I think. So obviously, it's a lot of money. Which is crazy. And I think that's this is something that will happen. Again, I've kind of always had a very accelerated timeline for how quickly I think things will play out. So I'm not really that surprised that we're seeing that now. I'm still surprised that the price is where it is. I think the price is going to catch up in a really big way. And eventually, Samson Mao's idea of the Omega candle will happen. Okay, I think that's just reality. I think that's far more aligned with reality than the power law theory or diminishing returns. I think those are really not aligned with reality. And I think the Bitcoin is going to be doing something a lot more violent price-wise in the future, just because you cannot factor this potential move by a nation state into the price. You simply cannot, like the efficient market hypothesis is wrong. It's never efficient when it comes to Bitcoin. Every single year, the mainstream media says, oh, the Bitcoin halving's priced in. Bitcoin won't pump. And of course it does. It's because Bitcoin is a very complex system and you simply cannot account for the fact of the halving, or when the largest nation state in the world wants to accumulate 1 million coins in Cynthia Lummis's case or 4 million coins in RFK's case. I just think this is massive, and this is sending massive alarm bells and warnings all across the world. And I think there's going to be more nations paying very close attention to what's being talked about in America.
100%. And I also think it's somewhat interesting too that after this proposal, and maybe this is another rabbit hole we could get down to in another video, but after this proposal and Trump speaking at the Bitcoin conference, the Biden administration actually started selling off some of the coins. So maybe that's the reason we're seeing a little bit of this drawdown in some of this debt or some of this lack of price action based on all this news. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, Bitcoin is inevitable, and we're going to get to that place. And, the best and most efficient, or the best way to utilize Bitcoin and help yourself get financially free is holding Bitcoin in cold storage. And so I think, that's why we've partnered here at Green Candle with Foundation Devices, which I think is the best and easiest place to store your Bitcoin, where you can use a Foundation passport. You can go to foundation.xyz, use promo code Green Candle to get $10 off. And then you can store your seed phrase on Stamp Seed, a titanium punch plate. You can see in this video that they're going to set it on fire, and it won't. You'll still be able to read it. It's great. Do not store your seed phrase on a piece of paper. Your dog could eat that piece of paper. It could get wet. It could do so many different things. But if you store it on titanium punch plate, you will not lose that seed phrase from other than just losing the titanium punch plate. So you got to keep it in a secure place, and you could do all that. And one last thing, shout out to the boys at Bitcoin Trading Cards. They've been doing some awesome stuff. They've actually got a great email list where you could sign up here and get 21 winners if you sign up to their email list. So go ahead and do that. And they're giving out some great cards from Nashville. They have some outstanding packs coming soon. And yeah, shout out to them. You can use promo code Green Candle for 10% off there as well. So tell the boys at Bitcoin Trading Cards, Foundation, and Stamp Seed all that Green Candle sent you, and it'll be outstanding stuff. So yeah, great stuff. Luke, any last thing from you, brother?
Yeah, couple last thoughts. I really hope that America takes its self-custody seriously. I would love to see America's 1 million potential Bitcoin in the future actually be self-custodied and have those private keys stamped into some titanium. I think that would be massive. Something else that's absolutely massive is your boy Austin just sent you a massive super chat. So thank you, Austin. We appreciate that. You're the man. I don't think he's missed one of my live streams, so it's great to see he's over here. What's that? 20 euros for the channel, Brandon.
Yeah, shout out to Austin, man. Thank you so much. It's greatly appreciated. Luke and I put a lot of hard work and effort into these things, and we're trying to bring the best and most up-to-date content for you guys. So big things coming soon. So shout out to that. And yeah, we're going to be keeping a close eye on this story to see how it develops. So stay tuned for more.
Adios, guys.